Welcome to Who's This For? A podcast about creating with intention. I talk with artists, entrepreneurs, and media makers about connecting with their audience by focusing on a single person. You create music, brands, experiences, or stories. This is the podcast for you. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Who's This For? Your favorite podcast about intentionality, or at least I hope it is. I couldn't be more stoked to have Cullen Ryan on this show today. How's it going, Cullen?
It's going just fine, Scott. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on this show, this brand new podcast. Thanks for taking a risk on being on this show.
Look, I wouldn't have it any other way. No other podcast would have me other than one that just doesn't know how big of a mistake this is already. So
wait, don't you have your own podcast? You can at least be on that one.
Oh, I quit that one. I quit it a while ago, man. We did. It just got to be too much work.
I understand the churn of these things. That's why I'm doing this interview even via internet. Like I had a lot of people ask me about that at the beginning. Since you have a background in radio and I know how to do in-person interviews and can do them, why don't you do it? It's like, literally, that means both of us driving to a place. That
Right.
means getting everything set up. It's actually harder to shoot than it is, obviously, to do that.
1,000%. If you want to take 4 times as long to do this, like what you can do right here, by all means, do it in person.
Exactly. You know? And that goes back to this. Who's this for? This is for an audience that wants to hear this conversation.
Hopefully.
And Cullen, give me that little CV background that everyone does at the start of these things so people know what you're all about.
I live in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Moved here in 2012, so I've been here almost 13 years now. Father of 2. I work for Converge Radio. I'm the station manager there, so I'm in charge of what goes over the airwaves at a local, small, nonprofit, independent radio station. And then I've been a stand-up comic. I started doing stand-up comedy consistently in 2010, moved to Eau Claire in 2012, and started doing the open mic circuit there, and became the manager of a club here in town. I'm the event coordinator. I'm in charge of all the live events that take place at a club called The Plus in downtown Eau Claire.
So it's safe to say you think a lot about connecting with audiences.
It's the only reason I have to live, Scott. Of course I think about that. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's get right into talking about stand-up. I have admired your sets. They're warm and they're so great, but I'm gonna back up for a second because I want to talk about the idea behind this show because we're so new. The idea is, and it's something that goes back to when I was a radio station manager back in the day, I would talk with new hosts about the fact that when you are hosting something, when you're on the radio, honestly on TV, etc., but when you're hosting, though you have one listener, viewer, or 10 or a million, you're connecting with one person at a time, and that is vital.
Yeah, for stand-up, I got better once I learned the trick not to look above people's heads and look people in the eyes. You have to scan the room. It's part of the performance. I've shared that idea with other comics, and they've told me, like, oh my God, once I started doing it, I slowed down, and it made all the difference in the world. So yeah, as part of live performance, it's a big deal to connect with people, even if it's just for a short period of time. I'm with you. On the radio, it's harder because you can't see people, so you have to just imagine it. But you're absolutely right. Being a stand-up comedian, the big key is that it has to come from a real place. Whether you're just being absurd and making something up, or you're telling stories about your life, it has to come from a real place. And the only way to do that is to connect with people. You don't have to think about it in these broad terms of like, how will the most people like what I have to say? No, if you like what you say, and you say it with conviction and like you mean it, people will come along for the ride.
That's such an interesting thing for what you do. So when you are connecting and reading the room, and does that real time throttle how your delivery works or how you're doing things?
It's reactive. I think so. I remember how I felt when I was on stage, and when I listened back to a clip, because I record myself, I'm like, oh yeah, that part went really well. I remember I was looking at that person. Sometimes in the audience, people don't like it. They look down and stuff like that. But if you like do it with intentionality, which is one of the points of this podcast, and like you're really trying to connect instead of attack them, a lot of people think stand-up is about attacking when it's the opposite. It's just about coming together.
When you're constructing jokes, do you think about that crowd work aspect, that audience aspect? 'Cause I guess I've never even thought about this before. You just think about the
Not
funny.
really. Yeah, I mean, that it has to be funny before it's anything else, right?
Exactly.
For me, that's the reason why I love doing stand-up, because it's so ephemeral and it's infinite. You'll never be able to conquer it. Every room is different. Every experience is different. Every night is different, no matter what. Even if it's the same joke you've told 1,000 times, how they react in that room, it means something. Every connection leads to the next one. And when you're really in the zone, you can write from stage and just come up with stuff. Sometimes you're just going through the motions. If you're not feeling the crowd, it does happen. But obviously, every time you get on stage, you want the performance to mean something and you want it to connect with people. So if you're not up there trying to learn and do a better job than you did the last time, you're not doing it for the right reasons.
So going back to the joke writing part then, when you write a joke, are you writing it to your own general sense of humor?
It's always a combination. Like the things I find funny inside of my head that I know don't work. I've been doing this a long time, right? I've been doing this 10 years. So there are certain like things in my head that I know are funny and I think are funny, but will this work on stage? Absolutely not. The funny on stage is different than funny sometimes. I will tell you this, if I don't like something, I won't do it on stage. I'm not going to just do it because it works. I have to like it for some reason. But yeah, there are things that I think are hilarious that, this will never work, that I don't do. That's the difference. I have to like it. I don't necessarily tell the audience everything that I like.
So you also are a booker of comedy and music, of course, too.
Doing more of that than anything else really these days. I'm at this point, I'm too busy with that stuff to really concentrate on my own stand-up. I'm more or less like a booker and a mentor and run sound and stuff like that more than anything else these days.
But so that's also, though, building really strong direct connections. I've seen the way you talk with the comedians in the audience. You're really apt about creating those personal connections.
Oh, yeah. We're in a small city, and we have the luck of geography to get even some of the comics we get. We're in between Minneapolis and Madison. Madison has a club called Comedy on State that is probably the best club in the country. It's certainly in the top 10. It's in everybody's conversations. And Minneapolis, great city, one of the best cities we have in the country, that also has a really great club called Acme and Sisyphus, just great places altogether. So we're right in between. So we get to have these really good people being a town the size we are. But being a town of 80,000 people, more or less, if you include Altoona, which is right next door,
right,
to be able to get the caliber of comics that we have, it requires a great deal of hard work and proof of concept and continually trying to deliver a good product when you have a smaller population to pull from than a lot of other places. I tell new comics when they come to town, look, you'll get more stage time earlier here than you will anywhere else. Yeah, you'll get up faster, but to keep it consistent and be writing new stuff is a lot of work. Be prepared for it. Be prepared to work really hard. Because I'll put you up the second you have a funny 5-minute set. You get to do a pro show. If you have a funny 5-minute set within the first 10 times you've ever been on stage, great, go up, go do a guest spot. We don't have the time, the energy, or the population to be precious about it. Go up there and do it. But are you able to keep writing, keep creating new material, churning it out? That's where it gets difficult.
You're giving people a chance at the same stage that other comedians that you're headliners are like SNL cast members and Comedy Central regulars, like people that hit my YouTube algorithm even.
Yeah. I only book comics that I like. I'm not like, we got to fill a slot this weekend. No, we just won't have a show. It's just, it has to be funny people. And yeah, and can I quibble with you a little bit about something you said? I just want to deal with.
Sure.
I'm not giving anybody a chance. Every chance they get, they've earned. I really do try to run this with a like in a collective sort of mindset. We're all in this together. I just happen to have been doing it the longest, and I'm willing to work because I love comedy more than anything else in the world. I love it so much that I will take on these terrible responsibilities that nobody wants.
Your communities noticed it though, because you were awarded and recognized for it in the last year for all you've done with the Vanguard Award.
Yeah, there's a local arts magazine that gives out 3 or 4 awards to like community people, and I got one of them this last year. I felt very weird about it. I still feel weird about it. I was told, hey, this will be good for the scene. This will be good. Let people know more about comedy in the area. I haven't seen that happen yet, but it's still a challenge to sell tickets to shows. We're 10 years in and it's still a challenge. There's no slam dunks where, wow, it does happen. We sell out every now and then, but it's not every week by all means. We're in a Chippewa Valley probably has, and you'll probably know more than me, Scott, Chippewa Valley here in Eau Claire has about 100,000 residents if you take all the cities, is right?
More or less correct, yep.
Yeah. So if you take those 100,000 people, the fact that I can't sell 80 tickets for a show every week is embarrassing to me. Feels like I should be able to.
Being in that chair, though, my personal thought is, like, I go to shows in Minneapolis that have 50 people at them that should otherwise be better. So I wouldn't beat yourself up on that too much, because just like anywhere to get 50 to 100 people to do something, to leave their house, to do something, to experience something, that's big.
I don't beat myself up about it, but I know there's more work to be done. I like award winning seems very stupid and crazy for me to say about myself when I'm not even halfway to where I even want to be, not even close to halfway there.
That's why you're the award winner, because you're not giving up yet. I'm serious on that too. That's not me even doing the little platitudes like I might be known to do.
Thank you. Yeah, no, giving up isn't an option. This is the thing I love the most in the world. I'm not going to give up. It's impossible.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I want to round back to something quick.
Sure.
When you're watching some of the best national comedians, how are you noticing that they make connections with the audience? I know it's probably a really simplistic question, but have
not
you
at all.
noticed that?
These are people that just have been practicing and honing their talent for so long and so devotedly. When you have out of town road people coming through, there's a huge difference just in the amount of jokes per minute, the spacing, the timing, and the delivery. It's just a little bit more polished, a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more in the pocket. There's a lot of really funny people with really good jokes, but can you tell it consistently to varied audiences in various conditions? That's really where the practice comes in.
Right.
And these folks, I've told this joke on the road literally 1,000 times. So if it doesn't work exactly how I think it'll work, I have an option. They're able to react in the moment because they've just done it so much. It's like anything if you play catch with somebody who's never played catch before, they're going to drop the ball a bunch. These people are they're pros. They're throwing 95-mile-an-hour heaters out there.
I love it. There is something that's interesting to me with that repetition of jokes, and I don't even know if I had a question lined up for that, but that's something interesting you all do as comedians, because I understand you're building it.
Yeah.
But does it ever feel like you're just saying the same thing over and over again?
People think that. I don't feel that way at all. I never do. There's times like during a set, this isn't working, I just got to get through this, sure. And then, it's rote, going through the motions. It does happen. Any comic who tells you it doesn't is lying. But no, because every room is different, every crowd is different, every night is different, the way you feel when you go up is different. It's infinite possibilities. It really is. That's what makes it so fun and so special. It's like you asking me that as if you're asking a musician, do you ever get tired of playing like a G major chord? No. If the song requires it, that's what I play.
Oh, yeah. No, I understand that. That's actually that's a good like analogy or whatever.
It's called an analogy. Yeah, that works.
It's analogous. Oh, that's some great insight on that, because it is something I wonder about though too. Because I think for me, I'm so off the cuff in almost everything I do, besides, I guess, building websites or writing like content that goes out to people.
Yeah, you can't willy-nilly that.
Yeah, but so I've never really even thought about it for me if it's like something that where it gets like repetitive or if it's new every time.
Even
or
if
like
it,
playing
well,
a song.
but even with stand-up, like 50% of it is the words you're saying, right? The other 50% is the spacing, the timing, your movements, and the tone, and just being able to like be in that moment with those people and connect with them. It's jokes matter more than anything else. If you don't have jokes, you're not going to be able to do it. But the other half of it is where things come in, where it's you can get better with practice, but it's also so in the moment. It just depends on how you react there. Have I been here before 100 times so I know what to do? Or is this the first time? How am I going to react? It happens every set you do, and it's really fun.
And you know what? The music analogy that we were talking about really came through because I was like, oh, he's talking about making jazz. He's
Yeah, don't get it twisted, though. Like, stand-up is more craft than art. There's art to it, but it's really just like you can get better with practice, just like you can with playing a structured song. Jazz, let's not get caught in analogies. I'm going to go off the rails. There's a jazz element to stand-up, but it's more sitting there and quilting. I don't know. It's a craft. There's art to the quilting, but it's a craft. You know what I mean?
Right. To sum up this part of the conversation, Cullen Ryan says comedy is more art than music and even more art than visual art. So on to our next question.
What I'm saying is that the only way to be a true artist is to do stand-up comedy.
I love it. This is actually going to be the quote I pulled to advertise this episode.
Oh, this
right
is going to
there.
work. Let's get some hate watchers. Let's get some hate watchers.
Just people are like, wow, they're going in hot on stand-up only.
You know who else? The only cool people in the world? Me. I'm the only one. Only one.
Let's pigeonhole ourselves politically in the next question.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's do it.
I'm kidding.
I hope so.
This one's about something I love an awful lot too, and that's just radio.
Oh yeah, I love it too. Yeah.
It's interesting because having done a little bit of choosing the music for a few things, doing a little DJing, I can hear the difference in how people pick music in ways. And
sure,
your music selection feels really relational and really personal, and I appreciate that. Do you want to talk about what goes into that for you?
Yeah, the history is I've always been obsessed with music. I grew up in a house that was full of music all the time. Even though I grew up in far northern Wisconsin, my dad had Gil Scott-Heron records. He had every record that guy ever made, which is a weird thing for a white guy from a town like 9 miles outside of 1,100 people to own. So music was a part of my life my whole life. When I went to college, I couldn't wait to volunteer for the local radio station. I had a show for three whole years, 6 semesters when I was in college. And then thankfully had the opportunity through my work at the Plus booking bands and comics to be asked to be on the community board for Blue Gold Radio at the time. So like they had a connection through the university with the city of Eau Claire. They wanted just community engagement and involvement and input into what they were doing. I went from being on that community board to being a founding member of the board for Converge Radio when the station was sold to, I'm simplifying immensely here. And then from there were a couple of station managers while I was serving in that capacity who left. And the third time's a charm. And I've been doing it for a little bit over 5 years, being the station manager, deciding what goes over the airwaves.
And you've done a great job at it.
Thanks, man. It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and I take it super seriously, probably more seriously than I should. I really do think about it a lot. I set a personal rule that nobody set for me. The board didn't decide this. It was just what I decided that I had to do. 25 new songs to the station every week. So I combed through the internet, publications, YouTube, Spotify, every source that I have to try to find 25 new songs per week to add to the station. Sometimes that's pretty easy. I only have to listen to like 50, 60 songs. Sometimes it takes me 500.
So with that curation, I'm just interested to hear how you choose stuff, because how do you filter that? Because obviously it's, again, this almost comes back to that stand-up comedy thing, but there's somewhat your taste, but like you also have a responsibility to an audience when you're choosing that context. How do you weigh those things?
It's difficult, and it's there's a lot of consideration that goes into it. There's plenty of stuff that I know is good that I don't personally like. Do you want a quote that you can put out for this episode that'll make people mad?
Are you
Let's
about
get
to
some
tell me
clickbait
what
going.
local bands you don't like?
Oh no, I'm not gonna. I will never do that to
I'm
local
kidding.
bands.
I'm kidding.
Here's a list of 3 local bands I hate. No, I'm not doing that.
Dude,
No,
this is all going in that promo, man. We got this promo is going to be tight.
No, that's great. No, but for example, we have a show on our station that celebrates a British band from the 60s, 70s, and still active today on tours, who I despise. I think they're one of the worst bands. I think they sound like how a hangover feels. You probably know which band I'm talking about, right, Scott?
Hold on. Let's see. Would it be this one?
Is that the Beatles' White Album? I don't know.
No, this is a wall.
Oh, that's the wall. Oh, I can't see. I can't see the little marks. Okay.
Oh,
Here's that band.
Here you go. How about
Yeah,
this
there we
one?
go. Yeah, that guy. It's that little guy.
Didn't I intend that props would work in this one?
You were just right there. You knew I would shit on. Oh, can I say? I can't swear. I can't swear.
You broke. Yeah, you can. I'm not going to swear right now, but I'll let you swear for sure.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't want to belittle. I don't want to belittle Pink Floyd, but I just don't. I've never liked them at all. And part of me, that's just how I'm built a little bit. I'm a little bit contrarian. If it's popular, it can't be good is just like a way my brain is just set to feel. As I've aged, I've gotten a lot better at acting like that. But like a band like Pink Floyd, I know is good. I'm not stupid enough to think that they're not good. So it's just having enough taste and foresight and trust in other people and other opinions to know that yours isn't the best one all the time. And that's really important, and that's difficult. And that's never not going to be a challenge for anybody who's in a creative leadership role in any capacity. It's even if this isn't what I would do, is there value to this? And does this enhance what we're trying to do as an organization or as people, or does it not? And if it does, you do it. Like you have your hard lines with things you won't do, but you just have to find that balance and think about it from all the angles and make decisions. That's the thing that leaders do that most people don't want to do. You have to make decisions.
You're making decisions on who the thing is for.
Yeah. And it has to be good. No matter what, it has to be a good. But I don't know. I'm lost. That's good. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to make a lasagna.
I'm just interested to hear, how do you think people connect with music radio?
That's a really good question.
Thank you.
It feels like hacky to say that that's changing drastically. I think like if you're talking about commercial radio, I think is just like a cesspool. I think it's okay to say that, right? You hear the same 8 to 10 songs over and over again on most commercial radio stations. Or you're hearing like every city has a classic rock station that's been playing the same classic rock tunes for the last 40 years. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. I like all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the future of radio is probably being independent and specific to the community you're serving. I really think that's the way to do it. I think radio stations have to think about being community partners a little bit more than commercial partners. That's why I'm thankful to work for a nonprofit that really does try to do community events, bring artists to the city, sponsor music shows where you get a split with the venues and the musicians. That's really the future if we want small, independent, and I say this with only love in my heart for it, low stakes things.
Yeah.
Like that's how art is created. Somebody doesn't have $1 million deal before they learn how to play guitar. Music and art starts in a bedroom, staring at a book or watching somebody's fingers on YouTube or just playing around with something. And there has to be those spaces and those people who take you from the bedroom to the stadium if that's your goal.
Yes.
I think even if that's not your goal, there's value in just being creative just for the creative part of it. You know, having the fact that I think if the number's wrong, I apologize, but this is what I believe I read. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But post-pandemic, 40% of venues that serve less than 200 people in the country have closed. Small venues just don't exist. It's not possible to make music in those spaces anymore. And it's really a problem. We're going to have, like, if you think there's an epidemic of loneliness and sadness with people now and feeling just isolated and just like weird about the culture, just wait 10 years. It's only going to get worse if we don't have people who are trying to fill these spaces with real life connections with people that are centered around things that are either just fun and entertaining, but can be serious at the same time. That's why I love stand-up. That's why I love music, because it can be all those things at any given time. There's infinite possibilities with both.
Totally. And I'll tangent. As the host, I don't normally give my opinion that
No,
much.
please do.
That was a good answer. I think that one of the things that we're finding with losing these stages is alcohol as a driver of finances for events, that those
Sure.
sales have went down significantly. It's nothing against anything, but there's some need now to figure out how to have that financial driver for live events, because I think they're super important. But it just comes back to that cart before the horse thing at this moment.
Yeah. The reality is that the reason why alcohol is so important to a lot of people is because it gets rid of some of your inhibitions and social situations that you would have otherwise. Newsflash, people have the internet now. You can say whatever you want there. You don't need to lower your inhibitions. So you have that outlet to just be free in a way. It's not as good, and I think we're learning it's not as good, but you still have a version of that outlet.
Right.
So that's the whole thing. The collaborative process of finding enough places and enough business owners and enough artists and enough people in communities who understand the value of what it is and what it takes to do it. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, some losses to get what you need there's not just going to be immediate profit. It's about building something.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what it is. It's going to be venues, community organizations, and artists all understanding what we're up against and deciding to go to the white wall and fight the walkers together. To use a Game of Thrones reference, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, so I figured I'd mention it.
Something popular that everyone likes that I've never seen?
Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, yeah. I hope I didn't just lose an entire Game of Thrones fan listening base that was here.
Now that is the still that you want to use to promote this show.
One thing, I've never liked Game of Thrones. I didn't even say liked before. I'm just adding it on.
I got on Threads. Are you on Threads, Scott?
I think I am, but not really.
You signed it, so it goes there, but you've never seen it?
Yeah.
I'm on Threads, and I said about this I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, and I said, yeah, it's fine. It's trashier than I remember. And people were angry that I said it's trashy. What do you mean? The show where there's like incest and it's the trashiest thing ever. It's like violent soap opera. And if you don't think it is, like, you're crazy. It is. It's trashy. It knows it's trashy. Newsflash, it's supposed to be. So, like, the fact that anybody got mad at me about that is silly. Let's put it up. Game of Thrones is just fine. That's what we'll say.
I think it's brought a lot of people joy, so I like it.
Oh, I like it too.
At that level.
Literally, I'm watching it again. I like it. I like it, but it's trashy. Yeah.
Oh, I was just defending that in general. It's not that I don't not watch it because I hate it. I just never.
Right.
I've never started. Like with fantasy, because I nerd out so much, I have to pick and choose like my.
Yeah, you're a Batman nerd, right? You're a Batman nerd?
Yeah, like I am, and I don't want to say specifically because I want to wait till these comic book companies sponsor this show. But let's just say for most things, I'm super nichey, super alt kid. But yeah,
Right.
for my fantasy entertainment, I am just going to the two main like
Right.
slot buckets, mass communication in a way that I wouldn't normally.
Right.
I
Right.
hope I get that sponsorship still after I said slot bucket.
Yeah, but I mean, for music, like you like a lot of like left of center stuff, but is it fair to say that your favorite band of all time is Ween?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. Ween, it used to be
Certainly left of center,
Radiohead
but
to
still,
somewhat, yeah.
yeah. But everybody knows who Ween is. Most people, right? You
Yeah.
don't think so? Yeah.
No, I think so. I think at least most people who know about indie rock know about
Right.
them at least. Yes.
I guess that's a small swath of the population right there.
I so there's one very famous person from Eau Claire in a certain extent. But it's really interesting when I think about them even because and this isn't to take anything away, but like for a while I was like, oh, this is the most famous person in the state. And then I
Right.
realized no, because if I went to the average person at Festival Foods or Dick's Market, hopefully get those two as sponsors, even though I name dropped them. I need
What I love, Scott, Ford trucks. I love.
built Ford tough in the heartland. I agree. Do you want to hear about HelloFresh really quick, Cullen?
Let me ask my therapist on. Oh shit, I
Good
forgot the name
Health?
of the platform. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that one.
Love
Yeah.
it, love it.
I'll send a letter using stamps.com to my therapist.
Oh man, make sure to use our code though when you check out.
Yeah. No, yeah. No, but even like Giannis from the Bucks has a house in Wisconsin, I'm sure. There are plenty of people, if he went to the grocery store, unless other people were looking at him, just be like, who's that tall fella? Like,
right.
everything is pretty siloed these days. There's very few people who are just like so famous, everybody knows them. Who do you got? Donald Trump, Barack Obama? That's about it.
Yeah, it really is. Politics is really our only thing.
Right.
We could go down a forever rabbit trail in this, but the losing network television as our main source of entertainment really did pigeonhole us all. We don't have like moonlighting or whatever I don't know why I picked moonlighting. That's old.
I don't either.
I have never once in my life had a conversation about the show Moonlighting with
Oh my God. Don't put
apologies
that
to
out on the
Bruce
internet,
Willis.
Scott. People are coming after you.
Oh man, Bruce Willis fans. Sorry.
Timothy
No.
Busfield fans are coming. The bus heads are coming their way. Yeah.
Oh, but like I think about but that loss of that like network TV water cooler thing has changed society and has changed our really perception of what famous is. I suppose like Beyonce is still famous, but yeah, there's few and far between of what's actually famous.
No, there's people with YouTube channels that I've never seen or heard of that would fill a stadium.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like there was I won't name the band because like it's fine, but like this like folk indie band that I saw 2 years ago at an outdoor concert. I was like, okay, folk indie band. Might as well drive my Subaru over and grab an IPA and
Not your Ford truck?
not my I drive a Subaru Outback now.
Oh, okay.
I need specifically sponsorship for the '05 Subaru Outback. So 20 years ago, Subaru, I'm expecting a check now. Oh, but like I went to this concert and it was, I mean, it was the Lumineers. I don't care. It was the Lumineers. And I've went to a lot of Avett Brothers, etc. type shows. I was like, all right, I'm going to see a bunch of dudes our age and like their wives. Like that's,
Yeah.
It was like 2/3 13-year-old girls. And I found out because Ho Hey was really popular in Reels that they now have this like tween fan base.
Yeah. Isn't that bonkers? Yeah.
It's crazy to me. I want to bring this episode home on a dirty secret. And this is the dirty secret I ask everyone.
Okay.
How are you using AI these days?
I do use it to help me write trivia nights because in my capacity as an event coordinator at the Plus, we have trivia nights once a week. So I use it to help with that. That's about it. I don't use it for anything else.
Wow. So like, is it just to find questions or to hone questions or?
I'll write 50 general knowledge trivia questions for me at intermediate level. I'll write that, they'll create them, and I do not use their questions as they're written. I use it to help my mind get to a different place. I used to just go down Wikipedia rabbit holes, just click links and try to write general knowledge trivia, just like finding my way using Wikipedia, but it would sometimes take 6 hours to write 30 questions. With the AI now, I can do it in an hour and a half. So I never take their questions exactly, but I do use it to help my brain get to the next step.
It probably does make for a better trivia night then, because I know as someone who's hosted trivia and played trivia a fair amount myself, like sometimes you get these questions where it's like, why was like 2/3 of these like super easy? And then the hard one was just like statistically impossible that anyone would know.
I've been writing trivia for 8 years, so I'm pretty good at knowing not to do that, but I still make mistakes. I think the AI has helped me not make as many giant mistakes, if that makes sense.
It's basically outlining and create before you really fine tune stuff.
And it's done in a split second. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to have somebody else do it for me. It's just, yeah, it has cut my trivia writing time down by on average 20-30%. It takes it removes like an hour and a half from writing it every week, which is like an hour and a half of time I need. I'm an extremely busy human being.
Oh yeah, that's really interesting. I just love learning how people are using it, because I don't think, and I won't go too far down a rabbit trail, but I don't necessarily think it's obviously the greatest thing for the future of creativity and connection. But
it might kill it all. Yeah.
It very well might,
Yeah.
but I do see it as right now a force multiplier for a lot of us who have been grinding in communication for 25 years to just take a load off our plate. And yeah, it's a really interesting thing.
I think it's super useful for stuff like that. I imagine in the legal profession, it's going to be insanely useful.
I personally already use it to write contracts.
Yeah.
And that might be something that you want to look at too in the future, is when you're writing I know you know how to do your contracts already, but
we have a boilerplate one that we just fill in the gaps that I created maybe about a decade ago, which I still use. Yeah.
And that's why I don't mind AI for contracts, because that's my other thing. It's okay, am I going to copy and paste the things into the one I already have, or am I going to use
Right.
So yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah. Using it for, have you seen like the short like movie clips that people have been making using AI? It's insane.
I've heard that some are like,
it'll make you weep, Scott. Don't get it. It's very sad.
I won't then. One thing that I have done throughout my life is if someone says, "Oh, don't look at it, it's depressing," I don't. Like,
Yeah.
I have this one skill where I've also, to close this out, never seen Faces of Death, which I think is something.
Me neither,
like,
which is surprising.
That was big for us, like 80s babies.
Oh, we're the age for that, for sure. Like we all had like high school kids who rode our bus who talked about it to us when we were like 9.
Yeah. And maybe we can almost do a whole nother episode on how cultural zeitgeist transmitted through children in the 90s, how we all had these similar jokes that you have no clue where that came. That stuff fascinates me.
Same.
But that is not the conversation we're having right now. The conversation we're having right now is the on the way out conversation. So I will say, Cullen, we've covered a lot of communication ground, and I appreciate it. I just appreciate seeing your heart for the art that you make and facilitate.
Thanks, man. You're one of my favorite people, and it was an honor to do this.
And that's it for this episode of Who Is This For? Remember, whether you're creating music, brands, experiences, or stories, it's all about focusing on that one person. I'm Scott Morfitt, and you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time on Who Is This For?